The great hall of the alien queen's palace was alive with sounds of music and chatter. Glowing lights from strange crystals cast soft colors on the high ceilings. Alien nobles in shining robes moved gracefully, discussing politics and trade. At the center of it all stood Queen Lyra, the ruler of the vibrant and powerful Zerothian Empire. Her tall figure was wrapped in a gown that shimmered like the stars, and her eyes held the wisdom of many years. Jake, a human soldier, stood near the back of the hall. He was far from home. The Earth he knew was light years away now. But here, among strange faces and unknown customs, he had a mission to serve as a guard for the Queen during this important celebration. Humans were rare in Zorthian space, and many doubted they belonged in this world of powerful aliens. But Jake was determined to prove them wrong. The music slowed, and the Queen raised her hand for silence. "Welcome, honored guests, Lyra," said her voice calm but strong. "Today we celebrate peace between our worlds." The crowd cheered softly, but Jake's eyes scanned the room carefully. Years of battle had taught him to watch for danger, and danger was close. Behind a large pillar, a figure moved silently. A small, shadowy alien held a bow, an arrow tipped with deadly poison ready to fly. The target was clear: the Queen. Time seemed to slow as Jake saw the glint of the arrow's tip. Without thinking, he shouted, "Watch out!" and jumped forward. The arrow flew fast and sharp. It struck Jake in the shoulder just before he reached Lyra. Pain exploded through his body, but he pushed forward, throwing himself between the arrow and the Queen. The hall froze. Gasps filled the air as Jake fell to his knees, blood spreading on the marble floor. Lyra's eyes widened with shock and fear. Guards rushed forward to protect her and to help Jake. "Heal him," Lyra ordered, her voice trembling. Two healers in silver robes bent over Jake, using strange devices and medicines to stop the poison and heal the wound. As the healers worked, Lyra stayed close. She knelt beside Jake, her usual calm replaced by a deep worry. "This?" she asked quietly. Jake smiled weakly. "I couldn't let anything happen to you, Queen Lyra." For a moment, silence ruled. Then Lyra reached out and took his hand gently. The crowd watched, some with respect, others with surprise. The shadowy attacker was caught and dragged away. The Queen's advisors whispered that this was a dark sign. Enemies were closer than they seemed. But Lyra did not take her eyes off Jake. "You saved my life," she said. "For that you have my gratitude, and more." The celebration was ended early. Jake was carried to a special healing chamber. Deep in the palace, as he lay resting, he thought about how strange this world was. Humans were few here, and many did not trust them. But Lyra's visit gave him hope. She returned often, checking on him and sharing stories of her people. Slowly, Jake learned about the Zerothians, their fierce loyalty, their ancient customs, and their deep respect for courage. One afternoon, Lyra said, "You are not like others. You risked your life for me without fear." "That is rare." Jake looked at her. "I only did what anyone would do for someone they respect." She smiled softly. "Maybe. But to my people, that means much more." Weeks passed, and Jake's strength grew. The bond between him and Lyra deepened, but danger still lingered. Enemies wanted to break the peace, and Jake was now a target. One night, as the two talked quietly in the palace garden under twin moons, Lyra looked at Jake with serious eyes. "There are those who do not want this alliance," she said. "I fear for your safety." Jake nodded. "Then I will fight to protect you and this peace." She reached out and took his hand again. "You've already done more than most could dream of. I wish I could repay you." He smiled. "No need for that. Just keep being you." But Lyra had made a choice in her heart, one she would soon reveal. To everyone, a choice that would change both their worlds forever. After Jake's brave act in the Great Hall, the Zerothian palace was filled with whispers. Many nobles talked quietly about the human soldier who risked his life for Queen Lyra. Some were amazed, others were unsure if they could trust a human. So deeply, Jake stayed in the healing chamber for several days. He slowly recovered, but his mind was busy with questions. Who was the attacker? Why did someone want the Queen dead? And what would happen next? Queen Lyra visited him often. Each time, she brought news of the kingdom and stories from her people. Jake listened closely, learning about the Zorathians' history, their wars, and their hopes for peace. One day Lyra sat beside him and said, "Our empire is strong, but not without enemies. Many fear change and do not trust humans." Your courage surprised them. Jake smiled faintly. "I never thought I would be part of such a world. Back home, humans do not have queens or empires like this." Lyra laughed softly. "Our worlds are very different, but maybe that is why we need each other." As Jake regained his strength, he was introduced to Zorathian customs. He wore new robes, learned their greetings, and practiced their ways. The palace was a place of beauty, but also of rules that could confuse any outsider. One afternoon, Lyra took Jake to the palace gardens. The twin moons shone above, and strange flowers glowed softly in the night. "There is something I must tell you," Lyra said quietly. "After you saved my life, many nobles asked me to reward you, but I want to do more." Jake looked at her curious. "Our laws say that when a human saves a queen, the queen may ask for marriage," she said, her eyes steady. Jake blinked in surprise. "Marriage here?" "Yes," Lyra said. "It is not only a promise between two people, but a bond between our worlds. It could bring peace or start more conflict." Jake thought about it. Marriage was a big step, especially between two such different beings. But he also saw how much it meant to Lyra and her people. "I need time to think," he said honestly. "Of course," Lyra replied with a small smile. "No decision is easy." Over the next days, Jake trained with the Zorathian warriors. Their fighting style was different, faster, and more graceful than what he knew. They used energy blades and strange shields that could block almost any attack. Jake worked hard, knowing he might have to prove himself not just as a soldier, but as a future partner to the queen. While training, he met other humans who worked in Zorathian space. They shared stories of their struggles and hopes. Some warned him that marriage to a queen was dangerous. Others said it could change everything. Meanwhile, Lyra faced pressure from her advisors. Some believed marrying a human would weaken her rule. Others thought it might bring new strength and alliances. "You are brave, Jake," Lyra told him one evening. "But this path is not easy. Many will watch you closely." "I do not want to disappoint you," Jake said. "You already have not," she said gently. "But we must be ready for what comes next." Then, danger struck again. Sent spies into the palace, hoping to find weaknesses. One night, Jake caught two shadowy figures sneaking through the halls. He alerted the guards, and they captured the spies. During questioning, the spies revealed a plan to attack the palace. During the upcoming peace ceremony, Lyra was furious but calm. She called her council together. "We must prepare," she said. "This attack is not just against me, but against the future we dream of." Jake volunteered to help lead the defenses. His knowledge of human tactics gave them new ideas. Together, they strengthened the palace's security and trained the guards. The queen and Jake grew closer through these trials. They shared quiet moments, talking about hopes and fears. One night, Lyra asked, "Do you believe we can change the hearts of those who hate us?" "I believe people can surprise us," Jake said.
Oh.
"Sometimes courage and kindness can do more than weapons." She smiled softly. "Then we will need both." As the day of the ceremony approached, tension filled the air. Every guard was alert, and every guest watched carefully. Jake stood beside Lyra, ready to protect her once more. But deep inside, he wondered what the future held for him, for the queen, and for the worlds connected by a fragile hope. The day of the peace ceremony arrived, with a bright sky and a gentle breeze that moved the banners. Outside the Zorathian palace, nobles from many worlds gathered, wearing their finest clothes and watching closely. The event was important. It was meant to show that the Zorathian Empire was open to peace and friendship, especially with humans. Queen Lyra stood tall on the grand stage, her shimmering gown flowing in the wind. Beside her was Jake, The human soldier who had saved her life months ago. Whispers spread through the crowd about the unusual pair, a human and an alien queen together. As Lyra began her speech, though her voice was strong and clear, she spoke of unity, trust, and the hope for a future without war. Today, she said, we open a new chapter for our worlds. May peace guide us forward. The crowd applauded, but Jake noticed tension among some nobles. Not everyone welcomed change. After the speech, Lyra surprised the audience. She turned to Jake and said, I want to announce my decision. Jake will be my husband. Hush fell. Over the hall, some gasped. Others whispered quickly. Jake's heart raced. He looked at Lyra, who met his gaze with calm eyes. This marriage will symbolize our bond, Lyra continued. It will unite Zorothians and humans in trust and friendship. Some nobles stepped forward to question the choice. Queen One said, Are you sure this will protect our empire? Humans are unpredictable. Another added, What if? This alliance weakens your power? Lyra answered with quiet strength. Our strength comes not from fear, but from courage. Jake's bravery saved my life. Together, we can face the challenges ahead. Jake felt the weight of the moment. This was more than a ceremony. It was a challenge to old fears and traditions. After the ceremony, Jake began training for the trials that all royal partners faced. Zorothian law required anyone marrying a queen to prove loyalty, strength, and honor. Failure meant losing the right to the queen's protection and respect. The trials were difficult. Jake learned to fight with Zorothian weapons, navigate complex political puzzles, and show his dedication to the empire. Each test pushed him to his limits, but he never gave up. Lyra watched with pride as Jake grew stronger. Their bond deepened. Beyond politics and duty, they shared laughter, worries, and quiet moments under the twin moons one evening. As they walked through the palace gardens, Lyra said, You surprise me, Jake. You learn quickly and face fears many would run from. Smiled. I'm not perfect, but I want to be worthy of you. She stopped and looked at him seriously. This marriage is not just about us. It is about two worlds. We carry their hopes and fears. Their peace was shattered when news arrived that the rival kingdom had launched an attack on a nearby settlement loyal to Zorothia. The attack was brutal and swift, causing fear across the empire. Jake knew the danger was closer than ever. He prepared to lead a team to defend the settlement and stop the attackers. The battle was fierce. Jake and his team used both human strategy and Zorothian technology to fight. Energy blasts and blade strikes filled the sky as they pushed back the enemy forces. Through courage and teamwork, they saved the settlement, but the cost was high. Many soldiers were injured or lost. Lyra sent a message to her people. We will not be broken by fear or hate. Our unity is our strength. After the battle, Lyra and Jake met in the war room. She looked tired but determined. This war will not end soon, she said. But with you by my side, I believe we can protect our future. Jake nodded. We fight not just for today, but for the peace we want tomorrow. As they planned their next move, an unexpected visitor arrived. A high-ranking human diplomat named Sarah, sent to negotiate a stronger alliance between Earth and Zorothia. Sarah's arrival brought new hope and new challenges. Jake welcomed. Her butt felt pressure to represent humans well. Over time, Sarah and Jake worked together to build trust between their worlds. She shared stories from Earth, while he taught her about Zorothian culture. Through it all, Lyra watched closely. Knew the road ahead was uncertain, but believed that together they could create a future that no one expected. After the battle to protect the Zorothian settlement, the palace was more tense than ever. The enemy's threat was real and close, and Queen Lyra knew she had to act carefully. The peace they dreamed of was fragile. Jake worked hard to prepare the palace defenses. He trained the guards in human tactics and helped create new strategies. His experience from Earth brought fresh ideas, but some Zorothians still doubted him. One morning, Lyra called a council meeting with her closest advisors. They sat in a round room filled with glowing crystals that lit the space softly. "Our enemies grow stronger," Lyra said. "We must find a way to protect our people and keep peace alive." An older advisor spoke. "The humans are strange. We do not fully trust them. This marriage could bring danger," another added, "but it could also bring strength. We must decide carefully." Lyra looked at Jake, who sat quietly but ready to help. "Jake has shown courage and loyalty," she said. "I believe he is part of our future." After the meeting, Jake felt the weight of responsibility grow. It was no longer just a soldier or guest. It was part of Zorathia's fate. As days passed, strange events began to happen in the palace. Secret messages warned of spies inside the walls. Mysterious figures moved at night, watching the Queen and Jake. One evening, Jake caught a cloaked figure near the Queen's chambers. He quickly called guards, but the figure escaped. Lyra was worried. "Our enemies want to break us from inside," she said. "We must be strong and watchful." Jake and Lyra began to trust each other more deeply. They shared plans and fears, knowing their bond was key to survival, to show his loyalty. Jake asked to meet the Zorathian Council. It was rare for a human to speak there, but Lyra supported him in the council chamber. Jake stood before the rulers of many alien worlds. He spoke simply, "I am here to protect Queen Lyra and Zorathia. Humans want peace and friendship. I ask for your trust." Some council members nodded, others remained silent. After the speech, one elder approached Jake. "Your words are strong. Human actions will prove your truth." Jake nodded. "I will not fail." Meanwhile, Lyra faced pressure from those who doubted her choice. Rumors spread that she was weak for trusting a human. One night, Lyra's closest friend, a noble named Zara, warned her, "Be careful, Lyra. Some will try to use your love for Jake against you." Lyra looked out at the stars. "I know. Fear will not guide me." Jake and Lyra trained together daily, learned Zorathian history and customs. While she studied human stories and ways, their friendship grew into respect and something deeper. But the threat from the rival kingdom loomed. Then came a new challenge. The rival kingdom sent a powerful warship near Zorathian space. It was a warning they would not stop their attacks. Lyra called her fleet to prepare. Jake helped plan defenses and strategies. One night, alarms blared through the palace. The warship was approaching fast. Jake stood beside Lyra on the command deck. "We must be ready," he said. The battle was fierce. Zorathian ships fought bravely, but the enemy was strong. Jake used human tactics to outsmart the attackers. His quick thinking helped turn the fight. After hours, the enemy warship retreated. Damaged, but not destroyed. Lyra smiled. "Today we won, but the war is not over." Jake looked at her. "We will face it together." Peace remained fragile. Lyra and Jake knew their bond was more than personal. It was a symbol of hope for their peoples. The days after the battle were tense, but filled with hope. Queen Lyra and Jake knew that the peace between their worlds was still fragile. Enemies watched for any chance to strike, and trust was slow to build. Jake spent most of his time working with the Zorathian military leaders. He shared human strategies and helped train soldiers to be ready for new threats. The Zorathian warriors respected his courage and skill, but some still questioned if a human could truly be part of their empire. One afternoon, Lyra invited Jake to the royal library. The room was vast, filled with ancient books and glowing scrolls. "There is much you must learn," she said, "about our history and the future we want to build." Jake listened carefully as Lyra told stories of Zorathian heroes and their struggles for peace. He realized how much the queen carried on her shoulders. As they studied together, their bond grew stronger. They talked about their hopes, fears, and the challenges ahead. Then, news came of a new threat. A group of rogue aliens called the Venker had been attacking human ships near the border of Zorathian space. They were fierce and ruthless, causing fear among traders and travelers. Lyra called a meeting with her council and Jake. "The Venker threaten both our peoples," she said. "We must act to protect our worlds," Jake agreed. "If we do not stop them, they will grow stronger and bring more destruction." The queen decided to send a joint task force with both Zorothian warriors and human soldiers. Jake was chosen to lead the mission. Preparations began quickly. Soldiers trained together, learning each other's skills and tactics. It was not easy. Humans and Zorothians had different ways of fighting and thinking. During training, Jake faced challenges. Some Zorothian soldiers doubted his leadership. One fierce warrior named Karn questioned if a human could command them. "Why should we listen to you?" Karn asked. "You do not know our ways." Jake met Karn's gaze calmly. "I may not know everything, but I fight to protect our people. That should matter most." Over time, Jake earned respect through his actions and fairness. He listened and learned from Zorothian soldiers, and they learned from him as the task. Force prepared to leave, Lyra gave Jake a gift, a small pendant with the queen's symbol. "Take this," she said softly. "It is a sign of my trust and our bond." Way out up so solo sis solo so do so to so so I so to so so so. The Venker were skilled fighters who used fast ships and surprise attacks. Jake's team faced several battles, each testing their courage and teamwork. One night, their ship was caught in an ambush. The Venker attacked from all sides, trying to overwhelm them. Jake stayed calm and led his soldiers through the chaos. He used human tactics to outmaneuver the enemy, while Zorothian warriors fought fiercely with their energy blades. After a long and hard fight, they defeated the ambush. The task force took heavy losses, but gained valuable ground against the Venker. During a quiet moment after the battle, Jake sat with Karn. "You fought well," Karn said grudgingly. "We fight better." "When we work together," Jake replied. Their teamwork grew stronger as the mission continued. They shared stories, meals, and hopes for peace. Back at the palace, Lyra waited anxiously for news. She sent messages to Jake and the task force, offering support and hope. One day, Jake received a message from Lyra. "Remember, we are stronger. United. I believe in you." Her words gave him strength. After months of battles and challenges, the Venker threat began to weaken. The Joint Task Force's efforts slowed their attacks and protected the borders. Jake returned to the palace a hero. The Zorothian people cheered for him, and many began to accept the human soldier as part of their world. Lyra greeted him warmly. "You have done more than I ever hoped," she said. Jake smiled. "I could not have done it without your trust and support." Their bond was no longer just between two individuals. It was a symbol of hope for peace between humans and Zor, as they stood together looking at the stars. Lyra said, "Our journey is far from over, but together we will build a better future." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of their responsibility and the promise of what could be. The day of the royal wedding arrived. The Zorothian palace was filled with light and music. Guests from many worlds gathered to witness the union between Queen Lyra and Jake, the human soldier who had saved her life. The halls were decorated with glowing flowers and shimmering banners. The air was filled with hope and excitement. Many had doubted this day would come, but now it was real. Jake wore a simple but elegant suit, chosen to respect Zorothian customs. Lyra wore a beautiful gown that sparkled under the palace lights. Her eyes shone with happiness and determination. As they stood together before the council and the crowd, Lyra spoke first. "Today, we unite not just as two beings, but as two worlds. May our marriage bring peace and strength to all." Jake took her hand and added, "I promise to stand by Queen Lyra and the Zorothian people. Together we face the future with courage and hope. The ceremony was filled with ancient rites and new promises. As the couple exchanged vows, the crowd cheered, feeling the power of this union. After the ceremony, celebrations lasted long into the night. Music, laughter, and joy filled the palace. Old enemies watched in surprise, realizing the strength of this alliance. But the peace was not without its challenges. Soon, the rival kingdom sent envoys to propose a truce, fearing the united strength of Zorathia and humanity. Lyra and Jake welcomed the offer but stayed cautious. Together, they worked to build stronger ties between their worlds. Human diplomats and Zorathian leaders met often, sharing knowledge and culture. Jake and Lyra became symbols of this new era. Their story inspired many to look beyond fear and suspicion. One evening, as they stood on the palace balcony looking at the stars, Lyra said, "I never imagined a human would become my partner. You changed my world." Jake smiled, "And you changed mine. Together we are stronger than we ever were alone." Their marriage was not just a bond of love, but a bridge between two very different worlds. It showed that courage, trust, and respect could overcome even the greatest divides. As the years passed, the Zorathian Empire and humanity grew closer. Trade and culture flourished. The threat of war faded, replaced by hope and friendship. Jake and Lyra faced challenges, but they faced them together. Their story became a legend, a true Fi tale, where a human's brave leap saved a queen and changed the galaxy forever.